is a 4-month high. Well, the Fed has made, as we mentioned all day, huge moves, including plans to increase money printing indefinitely, open-ended, as they say. But will this have the desired effect of giving the economy a boost? Here with me now is Congressman Ron Paul in a first on Fox Business interview. Congressman, wonderful to see you again.
David, thank you.
Just very open-ended. What do you think of this open-ended policy of the Fed?
Well, it hasn't worked for 4 or 5 years now. It's not going to work this time. But you'd think Wall Street loves it, so I guess they think about economics differently than I do, that just creating new money is going to create wealth. But does it restore confidence in the economy? It's rather bizarre. But I think the point you made in your introductory statement is the fact that the dollar is weaker and gold goes up. It's a devaluation of the currency. And one day we're going to wake up and realize that the economy hasn't recovered, so real wealth in those stocks just isn't there. So, no, it hasn't worked yet, and it's not going to work. If it did work, that means we wouldn't have to work anymore. We could just print money and everybody would be happy, and the world will always take our dollars. It's not going to happen.
Well,
and we might be seeing the beginning of the end right now.
Of course, Wall Street loves it. The banks love it because they get free money. But the Fed's mandate is not to pump up Wall Street. The Fed's mandate is to pump up the economy itself, which, as we heard from Ben Bernanke, is getting weaker despite all this money printing of the past.
So he's not achieving what his goal is. If he says that's his goal, and he's not designed to prop up Wall Street, but he keeps propping up Wall Street, and he doesn't create any jobs. It proves that economic planning through manipulation of money and credit doesn't work. It creates the bubbles, it creates the problems, so you can't solve this problem by doing more of the same. So someday we have to wake up and challenge this whole concept of central economic planning through central banking as well as Keynesian economics, that we should have intervention in the economy, because we're witnessing the failure of that whole system of economic policy.
Well, he doesn't think it's a failure. Here's what he said in his Jackson Hole speech back in August. He said, quote, "Central bank security purchases have provided meaningful support to the economic recovery while mitigating deflationary risks," to which you would say,
unemployment's still up. He's complaining about the unemployment. And the standard of living has not gone up. The standard of living goes down. He declared today that he doesn't work to have inflation. But the truth is, he's practically praying for inflation so he can liquidate some debt. This debt cannot be paid. You either default, which we won't. We'll keep paying the bills. But you've got to pay back with something cheaper. And that's why they want to liquidate debt through inflation. And that's what they're waiting on. And he believes in his own mind that, boy, if we only get inflation going and start liquidating debt, we'll get back on our feet again. And I'll stop the inflation when I have to. But believe me, if he hasn't been controlling it for the last 5 years, when the inflation even gets more accelerated, he does not have control over it, and he won't admit it.
By the way, our own Peter Barnes asked him a question that is bothering a lot of people, the suggestion that, in fact, he may be trying to re-elect President Obama because Mitt Romney has said if he's elected president, he would not reappoint Ben Bernanke and people who think like him. Do you think that Ben Bernanke is taking sides in this election?
You know, I'm a cynic, and I don't like central banking. I don't jump at chances to bash Bernanke. So I sort of would say that he's probably more worried about his reputation, and I think he really honestly wants to prove that his economic theories work because he put a lifetime into it. Just think of how much time and effort he put into studying the Depression. I mean, if I'm right and he's wrong, it's destroyed his whole thesis of the last 30 or 40 years. So I think he thinks more about that than he does about whether he gets reappointed. He wants to be proven right on these issues. I think he's truly an academician rather than a party player, and he's only doing this for Obama. But there is a history that Federal Reserve chairmen have in the past tried to accommodate the president.
It has happened a couple of times.
Yes, that sure has.
This one. All right, the Middle East, finally on the Middle East. Does it make sense for us to give money to countries in the Middle East that can't or won't protect our own embassies there?
Well, I don't think it makes any sense to give anybody any money overseas unless you and I voluntarily give it to it. So my belief in the Constitution and my belief in the foreign policy is that we shouldn't try to buy friendships because they're not long-lasting. Look, we bought this friendship with Mubarak, and it wasn't worth the investment of $40 or $50 billion. He was supposed to be friends forever with Israel. Now the radicals have taken over both in Egypt and in Libya. I think Israel is more endangered, so that's why I take the position that we shouldn't be doing it. So no, we shouldn't be handing out money, and I don't like to hand out money on conditions either. That means as long as you do what we tell you to do, we'll give you the money. But besides, the economic argument is the best one. We don't have any money left. We have to go to Bernanke and say, can you give us about 10, 20 more billion dollars so we can hand out this money for a policy that doesn't work?
Congressman, I have to go, but just a one-word answer. Are you ever going to endorse Mitt Romney for president?
Probably not.
Well, those are 2 words, but succinct. Thank you very much, Congressman Ron Paul. Good to see you. Thank you.